Good morning, dear students. In the previous video, we have completed the third lesson of our literature book, and that is I Am Born. So today we are going to complete the exercises of the lesson. So, are you ready? Let's start. Here, in understanding the text, we are having two exercises. Exercise A, answer these questions, and exercise B, choose the correct answer. So, first we will have exercise A. So, let's have the question answers. The first question is, where did Miss Betsy Trotwood live? So, the answer is, Miss Betsy Trotwood lived alone in a cottage in a small village on the sea coast. The second question is, how did David's mother know that the stranger walking up the garden was Miss Betsy Trotwood? So the answer is, David's mother, means Mrs. Copperfield, recognized her from the description already given by her husband. Mrs. Copperfield recognized Miss Trotwood when she saw from window, as she heard about her from her husband. Now let's have the next question. How do you know that David's mother was a shy and timid person? So the answer is, David's mother was a shy and timid person, as she got nervous when Miss Betsy ordered her and she obeyed her immediately. Here I would like to mention that David's mother was already frightened due to the strange behavior of Miss Betsy Trotwood. So whenever Miss Trotwood asked something or ordered her, she got nervous. Now let's have the fourth question. Although Miss Betsy Trotwood was a stiff and stern, she was also kind. Do you agree or disagree with this statement? Write a reason for your answer. So the answer is yes. Yes, I agree with this statement, as she spoke David's mother kindly and was ready to bring her unborn child. So although Miss Betsy Trotwood was stiff and stern, but she was also kind, as she consoled Mrs. Copperfield and she advised her not to cry so much. And also she wanted to be the godmother of a girl child. So we can say that she was kind also. Now let's have the next question. Why did Peggotty send for the doctor? So the answer is, Peggotty sent for the doctor because Mrs. Copperfield, David's mother, looked very ill and she was expecting a baby. The next question number 6 is, what was Miss Betsy doing when the doctor came downstairs? So the answer is, Miss Betsy was walking up and down the living room when the doctor came downstairs. Now let's have the next question, question number 7. And she, how is she? Who did Miss Betsy mean by she? Why did Mr. Chillip not understand her? So the answer is, Miss Betsy was referring to the newborn baby as she. Mr. Chillip did not understand her because he thought she knew that the baby was a boy. Actually, Mrs. Trotwood was sure that Mrs. Copperfield will give the birth to a baby girl only. That's why Mr. Chillip did not understand her. Now let's have the next question, question number 8. What did Miss Betsy do when the baby boy was born? Why do you think she did that? So the answer is, Miss Betsy put on her bonnet and walked straight out of the house because she was disappointed that the baby was not a girl. As Mrs. Trotwood was sure to have a baby girl, but when the baby boy was born, she left the house immediately without saying a single word, as she was disappointed very much. Now with this, we have completed answers these questions. Now let's have the next exercise. The exercise B. Choose the correct answers to complete these sentences. Copy the sentences in your notebook. The first one is, Miss Betsy Trotwood was angry with David Copperfield's father because. So the answer is A. He had married a very young woman. The second one is, we know that David Copperfield's mother was young because. So the answer is B. Miss Betsy said that she was just a baby. Next is, Miss Betsy told David Copperfield's mother that she wanted to be the babies. So the answer is C. Godmother. Now the last and the fourth one is, David Copperfield's mother looked ill because. So the answer is C. She was about to give birth to a baby. With this, we have completed this exercise also. Now let's have the next exercise. Here we are having structures on page number 28. In this, we will learn about auxiliary verbs be, do and have. Let's have some sentences. One evening before I was born, my mother was sitting by the fireside. The next sentence is, I have given Hema the books. The third one, I don't want an umbrella. Here these highlighted words was, have, don't. These are auxiliary verbs. So further exercises are related to auxiliary verbs. Before completing them, let me tell you a little bit about auxiliary verbs. Auxiliary verbs. Auxiliary verbs are the verbs that help the main verb to describe action. They give us more information about the action. They tell us that the action happened in the past or is happening in the present or will happen in the future. So in this way, these auxiliary verbs are also used to form the tenses. Some primary auxiliary verbs are be verbs. In this we are having is, am, are, was and were. Is, am, are used to show the present tense and was and were are used to show past tense. Now let's have the next one. Have verbs. We are having has, have and had. Has, have are used to show the present tense and had is used to show the past tense. Next are do verbs. In this we are having do, does and did. Do and does are used to show the present tense and did is used for the past tense. I hope the auxiliary verbs are clear to you. Now let's have the exercises given on the page number 29. So here we are having the exercise A. Write the auxiliary verbs in brackets in the correct places in these sentences. Copy the completed sentence in your notebook. So in this exercise we are having 6 sentences and we need to put the auxiliary verbs which are given in the brackets in the correct places in these sentences. The first sentence is already done for you. That is, I need some help with my project. Here we are having do auxiliary verb. So the correct place of do in the sentence is after I. So the sentence will be, I do need some help with my project. The exercise is already completed on the next page. So first we will read the sentence from here, and then we will have the reading of the completed sentence which is given on the next slide. So the second sentence is, I'm sure I met him somewhere before. Here we are having have auxiliary verb, and the correct place of have is after I. Let's have the reading of the completed sentence on the next slide. Here, I am sure I have met him somewhere before. Here is the correct place of auxiliary verb. The third sentence is, he learned the poem by heart. Here we are having has auxiliary verb, and the correct place of has is after he. The third sentence is, he has learned the poem by heart. You can see the correct place of has in the sentence. Now let's have the fourth sentence. They want to go to the film. Here we are having auxiliary verb don't, and the correct place of don't is after they. So the completed sentence will be, they don't want to go to the film. After that, next fifth sentence is, I riding my bicycle quite fast when a dog suddenly ran across the street. Here we are having was auxiliary verb, and the correct place of was in the sentence is after I. Let's have the reading of completed sentence. I was riding a bicycle quite fast when a dog suddenly ran across the street. Here you can see was is written at the correct place in the sentence. Now it's time to have the last sentence of this exercise, and that is, we working on this project together. Here we are having are auxiliary verb, and the correct place of are is after we. Let's have the reading of the completed sentence. We are working on this project together. You can see here the are is written on the correct place, and that is after we. So dear students, we have completed the first exercise of auxiliary verb. Now let's have the next one. So the B exercise is, write the correct forms of the verb in brackets and complete these sentences. So we are having the 5 sentences here, and the first one is done for you, and that is, she does want to go Christmas shopping this weekend. We are having do and want. Here do is an auxiliary verb and want is a main verb. So the verb form will be does want. Here I would like to mention that this verb form is in simple present tense. Now let's have the next sentence. Grandfather dash at the moment. You can meet him in the evening. In the bracket we are having be auxiliary verbs and rest as main verb. So the verb form will be is resting, as we are having grandfather, which is a singular noun. So with singular noun we need to use is. And we are talking the time which is going on, so we need to have the ing form of rest. So the sentence will be, grandfather is resting at the moment. You can meet him in the evening. So is resting. This verb form is in the present continuous tense. Now let's have the third sentence. We dash the principal for permission to go home. Here we are having have auxiliary verb and ask as main verb. So the verb form will be have asked. Here one thing is to be noticed, that when we use has, have and had as auxiliary verb, the main verb is always in the past participle form. So always keep in your mind that with has, have and had, the past participle form of main verb is used. Now let's have the reading of the completed sentence. We have asked the principal for permission to go home. Here I would like to mention that this verb form is in the present perfect tense. Now let's have the fourth sentence. I dash at the kites in the sky when it began to drizzle. Here we are having be as auxiliary verb and look as main verb. As you can see, the sentence is in past tense. So we need to use the past form of be verb, and with I we can use was. And look will be in the ing form. Let's have the reading of the completed sentence. So the sentence is, I was looking at the kites in the sky when it began to drizzle. Here I would like to mention that was looking is the form of past continuous tense. Here is the last and fifth sentence. He dashed a passport to travel to Nepal. In the bracket we are having do and require. As this is the sentence of present simple tense, so the correct form of verb will be does require. So the sentence will be, he does require a passport to travel to Nepal. So dear students, with this we have completed this exercise. Now let's have the next one. The next one exercise is words and use. Here we will learn about phrasal verbs. To understand phrasal verbs, let's have some examples. The first one is, Miss Betsy said, take off your cap. Next one, Miss Betsy put on her bonnet and walked straight out of the house. Next, yes, I can, not much, but Mr. Copperfield was teaching me and my mother broke down. After that we are having, I have decided to take up painting in the holidays. In these four sentences you can see some highlighted words like take off, put on, broke down and take up. These are phrases. As these phrases are working as verb, so they are called phrasal verbs. Here one thing is to be noticed that take, put, broke and take. These are main verbs, and along with that the words which are written off, on, down and up. These are prepositions. So a verb is a verb which is made up of a main verb together with a preposition, and they are having their special meaning. Take off means remove. Meaning of put on, wore. The meaning of broke down, suddenly started to cry a lot. And take up means to do something new with interest. So phrasal verbs are the verbs which are having their own special meaning. Now let's have some examples of phrasal verbs. These phrasal verbs are given on page number 30 in your literature book. So let's have the reading of these verbs. The first one is take off. Take off means remove. Next one, take up. Take up means to be interested in something new. Next, call in means ask for someone's help. Then, call out. Call out means to say something loudly, usually a list of some items. After that, look for. Look for means search for something. Then, look something up. Look something up means seek information or an answer in a book or a computer, etc. After that, see out. See someone out. means to go to the door with someone in order to say bye-bye to them. Last one is see off. See someone off means to go to a railway station, airport, etc. to say goodbye to someone. So here we have learned some phrasal verbs. Now let's use them in the exercise which is given on the page number 30. The exercise is use the phrases and the hints to complete these sentences. The first sentence is this summer I want to take up cricket coaching. Here take up is a phrasal verb which means do. The next one is please take off your shoes. They are wet. Here take off is a phrasal verb which means remove. Next, third is I don't know how the word is spelled. Shall we look it up in the dictionary? Here look up is a phrasal verb which means consult. Now let's have the fourth one. Fourth one is she is not lost but we need to find her. Shall we all look for her? Here look for is a phrasal verb which means try to find. Now the fifth one is the tap leaks and we are wasting water. Let us call the plumber in. Here call in means get. The sixth one, you have a long list of names. Could you call them out please? Here we are having phrasal verb call out which means say aloud. Now the seventh one is she is leaving today. Are you going to the railway station to see her off? So here see off is a phrasal verb which means say goodbye. Now the last one is Maya wants to leave. Could you see her out? I am little busy in the kitchen. Here see out. It is a phrasal verb and it means say bye at the door. So the exercise related to phrasal verb is completed. Now let's have the next exercise which is given on page number 31. Dear students, we can convert one part of speech of a word into the another part of speech. Like adjective can be converted into noun, noun can be converted into adjective, adjective can be converted into adverb, adverb also can be converted into adjective, verbs can be converted into adjectives and noun also. So we can convert one parts of speech of a word into the another parts of speech. This is called word conversion. So the first sentence is Sunaina tried hard to control her anger when the naughty pup chewed up her homework. Here we are having anger which is a noun form of angry. Next one, I hope everyone understands the seriousness of the matter. Here the seriousness word is a noun form of the adjective serious. The third, Ajay screamed so loudly while riding on the giant wheel that it gave me a fright. This fright is a noun form of frightened. Now let's have the fourth one. The beauty of the place took our breath away. Beauty is a noun form of beautiful. Now the last one is we travelled in great comfort in the large and spacious wing. So the comfort is a noun form of comfortable. Anger, seriousness, fright, beauty and comfort. These are nouns. But do you know which kind of nouns are these? Proper noun, common noun, collective noun or abstract noun? These are abstract nouns. Abstract nouns which cannot be seen, which cannot be heard, which cannot be smelled, which cannot be tasted and which cannot be touched. So these nouns which are formed from adjectives are abstract nouns. So the exercise is over. Now let's have the next exercise. The next exercise is punctuation. Here in punctuation we will learn about commas. The comma shows a short pause and it separates a word or a group of words from the rest of the sentence. Here are some uses of the comma. The first use of comma is a comma separates the word yes and no from the rest of the sentence. We are having some examples. The first example is yes, please come in. The second one is no, don't cry anymore. In these both sentences, you can see that after yes and no, commas are used to separate this word from the rest part of the sentence. Now let's have the second use of comma. That is, a comma is used to separate words in a series. Let's have some examples to understand it. The first one is, it was a hot, wet day. Here you can see we are having a series of adjectives, and after hot, comma is used to separate the word in a series. Second one, I bought apples, peaches, oranges and pears. Here also we are having the series of fruits. So after apples and peaches, commas are used to separate these words in the series. Now let's have the third examples. My mother and I sat by the fireside in the warm, bright living room. Here warm and bright is the series of adjectives. So after warm, comma is used to separate the word in a series. Here we are having an important point to be noticed, and that is, in a list there is usually no comma after the last item in the list or before the and. Let's understand it with an example. I bought apples, papayas, mangoes, oranges and bananas. In this example, we are having a series of fruits, and after apples, papayas, mangoes, commas are used. But after oranges, no comma is used because it is the last item of the series or list, and it is before the word and. So according to this, after the last item in the list and before the and, no comma will be used. I hope the uses of commas are clear to you. Now let's have the exercise which is related to comma. Here is the exercise which is given on the page number 33. Here we need to place commas in the correct places in these sentences. So the first sentence is, yes, Riyaz likes playing computer games very much. Here we are having yes. After yes, the comma will be used. So let's see the completed sentence. Yes, Riyaz likes playing computer games very much. You can see here the comma is used after yes. In the second sentence, this hot, humid weather is very tiring. Here we are having a list of adjectives, hot and humid. So after hot, comma should be used. Let's see the completed sentence. This hot, humid weather is very tiring. So after hot, comma is used. Now let's see the sentence third, that is, no, Lata doesn't come to our school. Here we are having no in the sentence, so after no, comma will be used. Let's see the completed sentence. No, Lata doesn't come to our school. Now the fourth sentence is, her room is full of books, CDs and pictures. Here we are having the list of things. After books, comma will be used, but after CDs, comma will not be used because it is the last item of the list and it is written before and. So let's have the completed sentence. Her room is full of books, CDs and pictures. You can see the comma is used after only books. Let's have the fifth sentence. Anita, Rahul, Helen and Mazhar went to watch a film. Here we are having the series of person. So after Anita and Rahul, comma will be used. But after Helen, comma will not be used as this is the last name of the list and it is also written before and. So let's see the completed sentence. Anita, Rahul, Helen and Mazhar went to watch a film. So here you can see after Anita and Rahul, comma is used. Now let's have the last sixth sentence. That is, what is the name of that small colorful bird? So here we are having small and colorful, a list of adjectives. So let's see the completed sentence. What is the name of that small colorful bird? In this sentence you can see after small, the comma is used to separate the word in the list. So dear students, with this we have completed all the exercises of this lesson. Now it's time to give you a homework and your homework is write exercise A, which is answer these questions in your notebook and complete the other exercises in the book. So dear students, we will meet in the next video with the new lesson. Till then, have a great day. Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you.